Become a Golden Knight today and never miss a video by clicking that subscribe button and that bell. Anyway, on with the video. Hello my Golden Knights, it's Richard Schultz here, and welcome back to another Greenville video. Now in this one, we're going to be doing a little bit of a prediction video, where I'm going to be taking you guys through all my predictions for something very, very cool that has kind of been brought to into the light a little bit more recently with the brand new update. So we're going to be heading out today, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about it. It's going to be really cool. We're going to go really in depth. Going to tell you what I think, some of my predictions, and hope you guys all enjoy. Now, as many of you guys may know, behind the spawn area, there is a pretty big area, and it's mostly empty except for a few cool buildings and shops like the sheriff's station and a couple houses. Now, there's not much here other than a few farms and, of course, those buildings, but what we do get are some pretty big roads, and we're going to see an even bigger one in just a moment. But this is kind of the first clue that there's going to be some sort of map extension out this way, extending the entire Greenville map in order to maybe make another sort of town. And this is what many people are thinking is going to happen. Now, another thing that people have actually been interested about is, especially in this recent update, is the new and surprise addition of the Metro Police Station. Now, many people have actually been pretty confused about this one, because they're not sure why it's been added. I mean, it's not like Greenville has a city or anything like that. Well, I've got a little bit of a prediction about that, and I'd like to share it with you guys. So basically, I think that there's going to be a larger town, or possibly even a city, on the other side of this map. Now, the reason why I think this is because there is a large buffer space between these two areas with the farms and with the other roads and whatnot. But the difference is that these big roads that connect it, they are for a lot of traffic, okay? These are huge roads that connect from the dealership to these back roads, and from the just by over here in the industrial area. Now, basically, my theory is that they are going to put some sort of large town or city right over here. That way, people can get from spawn in the dealership over to it very, very easily, and all the industrial buildings and deliveries and everything like that can have easy access to a big city. Now, this is why I think that, alright? Now, there is such a huge area for this big city or town, alright? And I think it's really going to stretch all the way over here, because I think that this right here will kind of be the outskirts, or the entrance to the city. This is where the Metro Police, who are going to patrol the city, and where the Sheriff Department is, who will patrol the outskirts, will reside. And this is basically my entire theory here. Now, I actually had another little piece of evidence here, but I only received it or saw it after I had pretty much finished editing this video. So I'm going to try and tie this in somehow. But this wonderful person in my Discord server, shout out to them, actually managed to find the real-life location of the new police department and provided all the information for it. So there it is right there. As you can see, it pretty much perfectly matches up to the one in Greenville. It's got the garages, it's got everything. It is pretty much identical, and they also provided a little picture of where it is on the map. Now, obviously, Greenville is somewhere up here and not over here or anything, but it is still kind of on the outskirts, or, you know, kind of on the outside or entrance to the city. So it would actually really work if we actually had it, you know, kind of at the entrance or at the outskirts to the big major city of Appleton, or whatever it is they're going to call it. So I would just like to tie that in there. Also like to give a shout out to this guy who left a comment down below and actually kind of helped me along with this idea, which I already had, but then I saw this afterwards and I thought it was a really, really good idea. So thank you very much to him. But there's still some questions that we do need answered. Now, some of you might not be convinced, okay? Now, some of you guys might have questions like, why would I even, you know, think this? It's too big, it's going to cause too much lag, and all of that will be talked about later. But one more piece of evidence that I'd just like to show before I get on to some of the other stuff is, why would they put a gigantic airport and all these businesses and everything like that so far away? If they wanted to just keep it in Greenville, wouldn't they have put them way, way closer? Well, that's the thing. See, these areas are so sparsely populated in Sessions because no one goes out there. So, my theory is that a city or big town will be used to draw more people out to this area. But obviously, we have some more things to deal with before then. Now, most people know that Greenville, or I guess the game Greenville, is actually based off a real-life town out in Wisconsin in the United States of America. And some people actually do know this, and if you're not convinced, I'll put some pictures up right now of some famous Greenville buildings that are featured in the game, and you can actually find on Google Earth. So it's actually a really, really interesting thing to see how all the roads actually match off. But it does leave me with a little bit of a problem. Because I believe that there will be a large city and town, right? It will obviously have to be modelled off of a real-life city or large town. But the question is, what town will it be modelled off of? As you know, Greenville is actually based on the real-life town, so any other map addition would need to be based loosely off of another town at the very least. But which one? So to find out, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hop over to Google Maps and I'm going to show you a few of my predictions as to which town it'll be based off of. Alright, so here is the map that I'm looking at right now, okay? Now, as you'll notice, Greenville is right here, and it seems to be kind of sparse, not a whole lot going on. But there are actually some other towns around it. Now, one thing that people might be looking at is Hortonville, right here. Now, Hortonville, it actually does look on paper, or I guess on the map, as being bigger than Greenville. So many of you think, oh, well, there's a big empty area, so it'll probably be based off of Hortonville. But I have something that may disprove that. Now, if we go ahead and look at the Greenville, Wisconsin's population, we will see that it is sitting at about 12,000 people and constantly growing over the years. But if we hop over to the Hortonville, Wisconsin population, you'll know that it has been steady since 2011 at only just about 2,700 people or 2,700 people. Meaning that for it to be a bigger city or large town, it just wouldn't be realistic for the game makers to actually do something like that. So here's my thoughts. I think that instead of being based on Hortonville or New London or something else like that, I think it will be loosely based on Appleton. Now, a lot of you may be a little bit, confused as to why. A lot of, when people tried to bring this theory up in the past, have said, no, Appleton is too big, it'll be impossible for the Greenville developers to make the entire thing. However, I don't believe that they're looking to make the entire thing. As you guys know, Greenville is pretty large, but largely they have actually done their own thing, okay, the Greenville developers. As you can see, there is no such thing as the Greenville Lake, okay? It is just nowhere here. And a lot of the kind of things that you see around Greenville and the famous things are not actually in real life, okay? It's only based off of the town in real life. They still want to be able to do their own thing. They're not trying to make a one-to-one scale perfect replica. So that's why I think that Appleton will be the inspiration for this. I mean, think about it. We already have the airport. We already have the Appleton International Airport right over here. And if we look at that and actually, look at that proportionately, Just Buy would be somewhere over here. The industrial area would be somewhere over here. Spawn would be right over here. Meaning that it's not a far stretch to say that there's going to be some sort of metropolitan area or giant town or something right over here. I mean, it's not a far stretch. And we also can get this backed up by if we hop over to the population of Appleton, it is resting at about 74,000 people, which compared to Wisconsin having 9,000 and Hortonville having under 3,000, this would really be the perfect gigantic city, to have in Greenville. Now, obviously, the city, if it does get made, won't be gigantic. It's not going to be huge, but I think it'll be loosely based off of, kind of the proportionate population growth, between the two towns, and I think it'll be really interesting to see. So anyway, ultimately, what will this mean? Okay, what will this big extension that I and most people think will probably happen at some point, what is it going to mean for game performance and for Greenville as we know it? Well, obviously, due to performance reasons, the city will actually be quite small. It'll probably be right in between that big road there and the spawn area, width-wise, and it's not going to be gigantic. Now, a lot of people, have been thinking about this, and I have been thinking about it a little bit as well. What about lag? What about with mobile players and other things like that? Well, there are a lot of games that have big maps on Roblox, and people are still able to play on them with mobile, and especially with the new updates, like with the houses and things like that, to reduce lag. People should, performance has increased quite a bit across people's computers and other, consoles and things like that. So it could be very much possible that they'll reduce the lag enough as to where they can do a really, really big extension, I suppose. Now, the extension will also mean that player sizes will also need to be increased. Basically, with all the new departments and new areas, like we now have 3 police departments, fire departments, all that kind of stuff. They will need to increase the player size. They will need to extend that player, group and the amount of players that you can have in a one server at one time. Especially for roleplay servers, there's going to be so many different departments and everything like that we just aren't going to have enough players for. So they really need to do something to increase that, and they've got to fix, any lag and stuff that may arise because of that, and that has arisen in the past. So anyway, those are my predictions for the brand new map extension that I think will happen at some point, probably in a year's time, or less if we are lucky. So thank you all very, very much for watching. Hopefully you found this video interesting, maybe something to think about. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below, and I hope you guys will all have a good one. So thank you all very, very much for watching once again, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.